And we are back. Our final guest tonight is a truly unique individual. He is an author of the new book, Charity Means Love, former priest, homeless advocate, king of the Facebook clapback, and just all around just amazing guy. Please give it up for author Nathan Monk. Nathan Monk, purveyor of vests. I don't think I've ever seen you without a vest on.
I shower in the vest, to be honest with you. It just keeps everything legal. So
we're here to talk about your current book, Charity Means Love, but you had a prior book, Chasing the Mouse. What was that about?
So my family went through a period of poverty and then homelessness when I was a kid. So my dad, when we were growing up, when we were living, back and forth between living in vans and living in cars and living in motels and hotels, and there's a substantial difference between those two. And my dad sort of promised me and my siblings that once things got better, he would take us to Disney World. And that became sort of the litmus test for me and my siblings, that once we were invited to go on that family vacation, we knew that we were okay. And so years later, in my adult life, I was given the opportunity to run a shelter for families. And so I met a bunch of kids who went through a similar experience to mine. Maybe their experience was different. Maybe they grew up, that being their whole life. Maybe there were other advantages or disadvantages that they may have had. But there seemed to be this concurrent theme amongst all of us kids, that we sort of had this mythical belief in a fairy godmother, that at some point somebody was going to come along, wave the magic wand, and everything was going to get better. And so I wrote that book to be sort of a telling of that story, really from the vantage point of what it feels like as a child, and then also looking back at that experience as an adult.
Now, tell us about your new book, Charity Means Love. And can you start by explaining, where the title came from?
Sure, yes. So I was a priest for nearly 8 years, and I did a lot of weddings. And so when you do weddings, pretty much everyone can say 1 Corinthians 13 by heart, love is patient and love is kind. And we know that verse, and it's almost always done at weddings. And so I was doing this big wedding at a church that was not my home church, and I get there and I realize that, of course, I forgot my personal Bible. I did not have it with me. So I borrowed this sort of antique leather-bound Bible there from the church, and I opened it up, and it was a translation that I did not use. And as I'm going through the motions of this verse that everyone's expecting me to open up with, it opens up and I say, charity is patient and charity is kind. I sort of stall out and I go, what kind of 2-bit Bible translation is it? I'm like freaking out.
Is this what you're thinking, or are you actually saying
I'm
this
like
out?
Freaking out, and I'm holding it all internally and like correct, and I just sort of switch out love as I read through the rest of it, because that's what everyone wanted to hear. And when I got home that night, it reminded me that word really means charity. It's the idea of charity and love are these interchangeable ideas.
Now, you do a lot you're a homeless advocate. What are some of the problems right now in America when it comes to homelessness that aren't being fully recognized right now?
I think perception is the major problem. So many communities are criminalizing homelessness. They are using people who are experiencing homelessness. They're putting them in blighted areas and to further blight those, drop property values so that they can scoop up property real quick and then try and gentrify the community. So there's all of these issues of both using homelessness as a discussion topic to try and create good, but also using it as a way to demonize people. And we have to sort of step back and realize that there's no individual thing that causes someone to become homeless. Every person's story is very, very unique, and we have to acknowledge the uniqueness of what they're experiencing. So for me, really the reason I wrote both of these books was to begin the process of dispelling some of those preconceived ideas that people have because they're wrong. So right now I'm operating a program in Fort Walton Beach, which is called One Hopeful Place. And we're experimenting with that very idea, with the idea of, one, we're a low barrier program, which means we don't require you to have ID, we don't require you to do a background check, a drug test, we don't breathalyze you when you come in. We are taking you as you are in that moment and saying, we're going to work out all the details after you get in. And so we just take you and we help you and we walk you through the process, but it's a partnership. Everything we do in the program is about standing next to the person, not dragging them along, not making them feel bad about where they're at. And so last year we had a huge success rate with that. We housed 81 individuals last year, and of that 81, 65% are no longer living on the streets of Okaloosa County because they were able to, through having someone, an organization come along and say, we're going to trust you with your own success. We're going to give you the keys to your own success. And then they get to walk out of that program not feeling like somebody else did it for them, but that they did this for themselves, and now they have those tools to move forward.
That is fantastic. How if people want to get a hold of your book,
sure,
what are the best ways, or both books for that matter,
yeah,
what are the best ways for them to be able to, where can they find these books?
So you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble's, Books A Million, anywhere that books are sold, you can get both of them. They're both available in physical copies and in ebook.
Thank you, Nathan, for being on the show and for everything that you do for everyone.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
That is our show for this week. Please check out our website, www.weekly-show.com, so you can find out who's going to be on future shows and how you can become a member of our studio audience. Also, do not forget to check out the Mogiles website so you can get some of their fine merchandise and also find out where they're going to be playing near you in the upcoming weeks and months. Speaking of which, Mogiles, please take us home.
Sometimes the more that you give, the more you give in. Other times you raise your glass to a good fight for. No matter who wins, I'm in need for speed. Spinning around, I'm kissed out of water, fail to breathe. I'm about to see someone down, I better stop before I falter. There ain't never a good time to fool around with me. Ain't ever a bad time. 'Cause I'm a tornado, yeah. Ooh, said I'm a tornado.